guest, is a familiar voice, a familiar face here on Mark My Words, and he has become a subject matter expert on cancel culture. He is none other than political strategist, close friend, and confidant of President Donald J. Trump, Mr. Roger Stone. Roger, welcome back to Mark My Words. How are you, my friend?
Mark, delighted to be with you on this Sunday evening.
Roger, I know you're busy, and it really is truly an honor to have you on the show. But Roger, we're talking about cancel culture, and I know we spoke earlier. You, no doubt, and your wonderful wife, Nydia, have been victims of cancel culture. Roger, we haven't really seen this level of canceling of the Trump supporters and the MAGA movement in probably modern times.
No, it is the single greatest danger facing the country is the danger of censorship, which is what this is. In 2017, I had 980,000 followers on Twitter. I had several million followers on Facebook. I had about 85,000 followers on Instagram. And then in one fell swoop, I was banned for life on all three without any real explanation. Oh, you violated our community standards, whatever that means. So, you can be the head of the Iranian government and advocate a nuclear attack on America, and that doesn't violate the community standards. But Roger Stone saying that the Russian collusion hoax is indeed a hoax, why that violates our community standards. I'm happy to say, Mark, that thanks to Elon Musk, who I think is a great man, I have been restored at Twitter. You can follow me at Roger J. Stone Jr., Roger J. Stone Jr., but I remain banned for life on Facebook. Pardon me. These Cuban cigars are really rough. Just kidding, folks. I remain banned on Instagram. I mean, my good friend Mancow, who was a mainstay there in the Chicago market, essentially left radio, where he was a legend, because they didn't want him to talk about Jesus Christ. They didn't want him to talk about Donald Trump. They didn't want him to talk about the U.S. Constitution. They didn't want him to talk about American values. And those who engage in the cancel culture need to be called out, I think, very, very aggressively. I'm for free speech. I don't care if you are a communist or a socialist or a vegetarian or a libertarian or a conservative, or if you're not into politics at all, you still should have elementary free speech rights. And when the mainstream media, television stations, cable stations, radio stations, just carry the establishment narrative, when they don't offer any alternative news, when they have one established narrative, I think that people suffer. And I think ratings suffer. Those listeners, those viewers, they will go someplace else. If they can't find what they are interested in on a given radio station or a given a cable station or cable network, they will go elsewhere. This explains why Alex Jones, for example, whether you like him, whether you don't, is immaterial. There's 2 million people watching on average every single day. That's extraordinary. I don't agree with everything he said. In fact, I disagree with many of the things that he says. But I do think he has a right to say them, and people have a right to read that and consider it for themselves.
Roger, you got to know President Ronald Reagan and even President Richard Nixon very well. Either of them were around today. What do you think their thoughts would be on cancel culture, and more importantly, what do you think they would do about it?
I don't think they would recognize America as it stands today. I mean, let's take John Kennedy, for example. John Kennedy was a fierce anti-communist. He favored a massive national defense buildup, which President Eisenhower was opposed to. He favored a silverback dollar. He favored deep tax cuts. He had a deep distrust of the intelligence agencies, basically after they misled him regarding the Bay of Pigs invasion plan in Cuba and the Cuban Missile Crisis, where the Russians placed deadly missiles 92 miles from our shore. He would not recognize today's politics. He certainly wouldn't recognize today's Democratic Party. You have his nephew, Robert F. Kennedy, running for president. It's an interesting candidacy. he has something interesting to say. Mark, Facebook Live blocked him 5 minutes into his announcement speech. But what more can you say? I mean, here is the scion to one of the great political dynasties in America, who has strong views on America's standing, geopolitical standing in the world. By the way, he's anti-war, and he's anti-war machine. He's got a very strong point of view when it comes to the safety and effectiveness of vaccinations. I say, let him be heard. Let the people decide. Let people decide for themselves. But no, Facebook bans him 5 minutes into his announcement speech. John Kennedy would not recognize America today if he were alive.
Roger, the left not only is about cancel culture and censoring our free speech, but it's also about intimidation. And you've faced a number of lawsuits in civil where they've got nothing. It's a nothing burger, but they want to try and slow you down and force you to spend money battling this. How many different civil lawsuits have you been named under of this constant attack from the left?
I've been sued in 17 civil actions since my presidential pardon. I was pardoned because President Donald Trump recognized that I was charged with lying to Congress, even though I didn't make any misstatement to Congress, and nothing I did say hid any underlying crime. So, no, I'm sorry. There was no Russian collusion. There was no WikiLeaks collaboration. No, I didn't lie to cover up anything because there was nothing to cover up. It was a very clever catch-22 indictment, but my wife and I have faced 17 individual harassment lawsuits, baseless, meritless, phony, tremendously sensationalized. So the idea is to drag your name through the mud and make you spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyers. That's time you're not out fighting, for example, in my case, to put Donald Trump back in the White House or to elect men and women who support the America First agenda. People who want to help because now Hunter Biden's lawyers are threatening to sue me. Can you imagine? And what is my crime? Talking in public about information that is in the public domain. As if I have no idea how that information got in the public domain. All I know is I read about it in the New York Post, and I commented on my daily show at stonezone.live every day at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. And now Hunter Biden's extremely expensive D.C.-based lawyers are threatening to sue me. Folks who want to help in this fight can go to stonedefensefund.com, stonedefensefund.com. I hate to have to keep asking, but it's more than any one person or any one family can bear. And no, I won't stop talking about the shocking contents of Hunter Biden's laptop.
Roger, thanks because I was going to promote that. My last question to you, Roger, we've got about a minute and a half as president, but President Trump seems to be widening his lead over Ron DeSantis. I mean, I've seen polls where he has a 30-point lead. DeSantis has got to be shocked that President Trump is just dominating him in the polls.
Look, I can't imagine what's going through the governor's mind. He owes his election to the governorship to Donald Trump. His running is a stunning act of disloyalty. If he seeks the nomination, he will get crushed. But frankly, in my own thinking, I have moved on to the question of defeating Joe Biden. There's a bunch of stories today that say that Biden will announce his candidacy next week. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I'm not sure how you build around a campaign around a guy who can barely speak a coherent sentence. But we shall see. Our politics remain incredibly interesting and fluid. But if we don't have free speech, if the cancel culture is allowed to cancel programs that don't carry the two-party duopoly official narrative, well, the people will be the poorer for that.
Roger Stone, God bless you. Give my best to Nydia. Thank you for joining us here this evening. I'll continue to promote your legal defense fund, and please check out the Stone Zone live every single day from, was it 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time?
That is correct. StoneZone.live. Check